Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're trying some more new makeup and I cannot wait. There's a few things here that I've been dying to try. One of them being this product from Dior. So many of you have asked if I've tried this or not. This is the Skin Perfect Foundation Stick. I have the new Lisa Eldridge eye products. I have a new blush. I have an Hourglass palette. So we have some really fun things to try out today and I'm excited. I hope you are too. If you're new, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the video. Okay, before we get into any makeup, I'm gonna apply my SPF. I am once again almost out of this SPF. The last few days I've been out of town because of the hurricane, and I took this SPF with me and I have just about used it all up. So I'm gonna have to order a new one. And speaking of the hurricane, I hope you're all doing okay. Thank you to those of you that have reached out to me in the past week just to check on how I was doing. We were very, very fortunate and our house is fine. We don't have a ton of trees around our house, luckily. So we did not experience any major damage, which was very lucky, and we are very, very grateful for that. But we did lose power and water and internet for about 5 days. So finally it is back, and boy, am I happy about it. I feel like things like this really make you appreciate things like internet and power, things that, you know, sometimes we forget to be grateful for, myself included. So I'm very, very happy to be back home. But I'm thinking about all of you that are living in these areas that were affected by this storm, because it's just so sad to see. So I hope maybe this video, if you haven't had the greatest week or 2 weeks or however long, maybe this will give you just a little bit of a break to just relax and talk about makeup, which is what I'm hoping for as well. So I hope that this maybe helps you in some way. All right, I was going to just go in with the new foundation, but I'm wondering if we should give this another try. If you saw my last trying new makeup video, I tried this primer with the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation and they didn't like each other. The foundation didn't sit very well over the top of this. But I'm assuming it was because one was water-based and one was silicone-based. And I believe the Dior is water-based. I didn't see any silicone in there. So maybe we'll be okay with it this time. Fingers crossed, because I really don't want to have to start over. But I really want to give this primer a try. But I ended up just taking it off in the last video and skipping primer, but I figure we'll try it again today. So this primer, as you can see, has a lot of glow to it, and it has kind of a golden color to it when you pump it out, but then as you blend it, that kind of goes away and you're just kind of left with the glow. But it's definitely a little bit different to me than the original Hydro Grip. It's not as tacky feeling. It's a little bit thinner as well. It's not quite as thick as the original. So I'm gonna give this a few minutes to kind of set down. It's been like 3-ish minutes, so we should be good to move on. So this is probably one of the things I'm most excited about for this video. This is the Dior Forever Skin Perfect Stick Foundation. This came out a little while ago and I really wanted to try it. I was trying to wait until the Sephora sale, but so many people have messaged me asking me about this, and I am also very curious about it. I've seen really great reviews. I know Martina loves this, so I'm really excited to try it. I really, really like the packaging on this. It's just a stick, obviously, but I don't know. I like the shiny Dior packaging. And I was torn between two shades. I went with shade 2N. I was torn between 1.5N and 2N. I went with 2N. We'll see if it works. Sometimes try to go by the lighting in Sephora, but it's hard sometimes. But this is shade 2N. It feels really, really good and creamy. Let's just test this out. I will say this, I could tell this right away just when I was swatching it in the store. It's probably one of the creamiest feeling stick foundations I've ever tried, ever. The only thing that I can think of that kind of reminded me of it was the Fenty Eavesdrop Skin Stick. That one kind of reminded me of this, just in the texture at least, but this is an extremely creamy complexion stick or foundation stick. A lot of times they are a little on the stiff side to me. Very easy to blend. I don't really have any idea how much to apply, so we're just gonna start with this and see how far we get. And I'm using the 106 from BK Beauty to apply this, and it's clean, so it doesn't have any product on it. All right, we're definitely 0 for 2 with the Milk Primer. I don't know, you're definitely not gonna be able to see on the camera, I don't think, but it's like separating really weird right here, and it looks like there's a little tiny bit of pilling. Let me turn the light down one. I don't know if that's gonna help, but it's not laying right here. It's not smooth. You can see the foundation kind of separating away. So, okay, I'm gonna remove this side and we're gonna start over. So yeah, I don't know what to think about this. Maybe I could try this with just concealer and not foundation. I don't know. It does have silica in it. I don't see any dimethicone ingredients in it, but it does have silica, so I don't know, maybe it's that doesn't agree with it. I mean, you would never see it from a distance, but if you look up close, it's just not, it's like totally picking up in this area and like breaking apart. So, okay, I'm gonna remove this and I will be back. All right, let's try this again. I removed that and I reapplied the same SPF. We're just gonna go in with the foundation this time because that Milk Primer is just giving me problems. Let me know if you have tried this foundation and what you think of it. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube talk about it and it seems to be pretty popular, but let me know if you've tried it. I know a bunch of you have sent me messages and comments that you wanted to know what I thought of it, so I'm excited to try it. It does have a very strong fragrance, the standard Dior fragrance. It does have that and it's pretty strong, so if that bothers you, just keep that in mind. Usually the fragrance kind of goes away after you've applied it, so hopefully that's the case with this one, but it definitely does have that strong Dior fragrance. I think the color is okay, actually. I probably could have worn 1.5 neutral. I really had a hard time picking, but I think this one's okay. It's incredibly easy to blend, which is very nice because sometimes I do find that's not the case with stick foundations. All right, so there it is with the first application. So the coverage is pretty good. It's definitely not full coverage. I would say this is on like the lighter end of medium coverage right now. I mean, you can definitely still see a lot of my skin through it. It definitely did kind of even out the tone overall, but it looks really nice. The finish is really pretty. I would say at this point, I believe they call this a natural finish. I would say right now it's leaning a little bit more on the radiant side, but it could just be the sunscreen I used underneath is really, really hydrating. It doesn't look overly oily or anything, but it definitely has a little bit of that kind of hydrated, luminous glow, but I do really like it. I think it looks really, really nice, very natural on the skin, and it was definitely the primer causing the issue, because now there's no weird separation anywhere that I'm seeing. So let's try to build this up a little bit and just see what happens. So I'm gonna take a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit on my nose, and then a little bit there. I'm not sure how buildable the formula is supposed to be, but I just want to see how much more coverage we can get. I'm going to let it kind of sit for a minute before we blend it out. All right, I'm actually going to switch from the 106 just out of curiosity, and I'm going to use the 109 from BK Beauty. I usually find that stick foundations or just creams in general, cream foundations, typically apply better, in my opinion, with a more dense brush. The 106 has some density on the very top, but there's still a lot of movement to it. There's not a ton of density, so I find that this works better with a true liquid foundation. So I'm gonna try the 109. Also, if the brush is a little bit more dense, it allows you to build up the product a little bit more instead of really shearing it out. And I'm also leaving my under eyes clear. If you watch my videos, you'll know that already, but I don't bring foundation under my eyes because I always apply corrector and then a concealer over the top, so I always kind of avoid the eye area. Okay, so I definitely think the dense brush is the way to go with this one. Unless you want a really sheer application, I would maybe use something that's a little bit more on the dense side, because that definitely did add a little bit of coverage in these areas by using that dense 109 and then kind of tapping it in. But you know, not everybody wants a lot of coverage. So if you want a more sheer application, just use a fluffier brush. But I mean, it looks really, really nice on my skin. I really like how it's sitting. It's, you know, slightly radiant looking, but the radiance I think is just coming from a lot of hydration. That cream is very creamy. You can feel it as soon as you start applying it. It just starts to kind of melt into the skin. So it does give you that kind of creamy look on your skin. If you like that, you would probably like this. If you don't love that, this is definitely a very emollient formula. So just keep that in mind, but I really like how it looks. Let's move into some corrector. I don't have a brand new corrector to use, although I will show you a combo that I've been doing for like the last 2 weeks. I use the Cali Ray Hideaway in Cool Sunrise. And then I have been using this one. So this is the new Makeup Forever HD Skin Corrector. I talked about this in my last video. I ordered this thinking I could use it on its own, but it's really, really light. So I don't like it on its own, but I do really like it mixed in with this one from Cali Ray. They mix really well. All right, I'm going to just blend those together with the A506 from BK Beauty. It's the little kitten paw brush. I don't know what it is, but something about like the combination of those two, it's like the perfect match. And the consistencies are also pretty similar, so I'm guessing that's probably why they blend well together, but this has kind of been my go-to corrector combo. For concealer, I'm going to use the Westman one. This is the shade L4. This shade is okay. It's not like the most perfect shade match for me. I think this one is supposed to be like light with peachy undertones. And I would say it's like peach leaning a little bit on the yellow side. But I do really, really like the Westman concealer. If you like something with a good bit of coverage that's pretty hydrating, it does remind me of the Natasha Denona concealer. So if you like that one, you would probably like this one. I do think this one is a little bit more hydrating than that one. but I do kind of find the consistencies of the two very similar. So I'm just kind of blending in a little bit with the 109. I've been using this N14 brush over and over and over because I just can't. This is just my favorite, and I find that it really just fits in the perfect spot right under my eye. So I'm gonna blend with this. The Westman concealer also spreads quite a bit, so you really don't need a lot of it at all. Unless you're wanting a full coverage from it, you don't need a lot of this product. I'm kind of torn because I do have this new Hourglass palette. Like I said, I really want to use that. I also have this YSL blush that I haven't tried yet, the new Make Me blush in New Lavalier, I think, number 44. So I'm not sure if I should set my face and maybe use this in another video and just use the Hourglass. I kind of want to use the Hourglass palette, so I think that's what we'll do. I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario loose powder. This is the shade number 2. And I actually was just at Sephora. I was really afraid it was going to get canceled because of the hurricane. And I'm shocked that my session did not get canceled. But anyway, part of it was you had a master class with Mario, like the Mario. So he had a model there and he did her makeup. And he gave so many tips and tricks. So I'm going to be filming a video on the things that I learned from that masterclass. That may be the next video that you see, but it was so much fun. I just really enjoyed it. I could listen to him for hours. But he obviously used his new powder on the model and was kind of talking about it. I've been using it for the last few weeks and I am liking it more and more the more I use it. Now, let's use this palette. I know what you're thinking. Blair, every year you say you're not going to get the Hourglass palette. And this year I really was convinced, you know what, I'm going to skip it this time. I don't need it. And then the problem is that I see people that I love's videos and then I want to try it. I want to try the new shades because this year they did release new shades. They don't typically do that with these palettes. So I caved. So I got this one with the Evil Eye packaging. This was my favorite personally of the 3, although I will say I definitely preferred the packaging overall from last year. But anyway, I went with this one, and this is palette number 1 in the Evil Eye packaging. So if you order from Hourglass, you can customize and you don't have to pick the palette based on the palette color story that you want. You can customize the palette itself, which is nice. So that's what I did for this one. So let's swatch these. I haven't even swatched it yet or anything. I know I'm very late on this. So many people have reviewed these already, but this is palette number 1 and I was really intrigued, of course, by the blushes, but also by the bronzer, because the bronzer, from what I've seen, appears to be very neutral, which is not typically the case with Hourglass bronzers, in the palettes at least. I find that most of them tend to run kind of warm, but this one looked to be pretty neutral, and it does look pretty neutral. So that's the bronzer right there. Then we have 2 blushes in this one. So we have Mauve Haze and Peach Fusion. Mauve Haze really intrigued me also because I love colors like this. So that's it right there. And then Peach Fusion is also really pretty. It's peachy, has a little bit of like a bronzy swirl in it if you look in the pan. So that's Peach Fusion, Mauve Haze, and the bronzer, which is called Soft Bronze. Very pretty. And then let's see, we have finishing powders, which are Dreamlight, Divine Light, and a highlighter that's Sunlit Strobe Light, which I think the highlighter is pretty intense from what oh yeah, it is, from what I've seen. So that is the highlighter. So yeah, the highlighter is definitely very highlighter-y. And then I'll swatch the finishing powders. You can't really tell much about the finishing powders just by swatching them, but I will swatch them for you. All right, so we've got, they look pretty identical on my fingers. This is Divine Light, this is Dream Light. I think in the swatches, they're probably gonna look pretty similar. One of them's a little bit lighter, I think, than the other one. Dream Light and Divine Light. So there are the swatches. All right, let's go in with the bronzer. Typically I would use my Rephr 05, but that brush is really dirty right now, so I don't really want to use it. So I'm going to use this Mario brush to go in with the bronzer, which is soft bronze. So I'm going to use this dual-ended brush. This is the F2, and I'm going to use the larger side and start applying the bronzer. One thing I really wish they would fix on these Hourglass palettes is why do they keep doing this where you can't keep the palette open? Like the lid swings back. You can't, they're very hard to keep open. I would think there would be like some sort of way to keep it more firm so you can leave them open if you want. That is one thing I don't understand why they haven't fixed, because it's been like that for a while with these palettes. So I'm not really sure about that, but I do wish that they would fix that. So the bronzer is really pretty. It definitely looks more warm on my skin than it looks in the pan, which is interesting because it really looks pretty neutral in the pan, but on my skin it definitely has a good bit of warmth to it. I do like the tone of it though. I think it's pretty. I do like that it's not overwhelmingly pigmented and orangey right off the bat, because I have found that to be true with some of the Hourglass bronzers, in the palettes at least, in the past. This one is not, which is nice. Gonna bring a little bit down my neck as well, just to kind of even out the foundation color. So I feel like the foundation color is not super off from like my total body color. It's just, it's a little bit darker for sure than my neck, but my neck is so light. So anyway, that's why I'm bringing a little bit of the bronzer down the neck. Yeah, I really like the bronzer now that I've got it all over. I like the tone of it a lot, but let's go into the blush. Now I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna use both or if I'm just gonna pick one. I kind of want to use a little bit of both. So I think we're gonna start with this one. This is the one that intrigues me the most, which is Mauve Haze. I'm gonna use this brush from BK Beauty. It's pretty clean, it's just kind of stained, but this is the A507. So I'm gonna use this to apply the blush. I'm gonna kind of tap it off on my hand also. Yeah, the mauve color is really, really beautiful. I love mauves, especially this time of year. Oh yeah, I really, really like that blush color. That's nice. All right, let's do the other side. I was really happy to see that they were doing different colors in the palette this year and not just repeating permanent shades, because people that have a lot of makeup and a lot of Hourglass products, that kind of stinks if you already have individuals of the holiday palettes, but you like the holiday palettes. So I was really happy to see them doing that. This one is not as shimmery looking, I did notice in the swatches, compared to the peach one. So this one, you do get, you know, the glow that you get from Hourglass powders, but you don't have, there's not as much luminosity in this color as the peach one. I want to apply a little bit of the peach, but I don't want to go overboard. Let me pick a fluffier brush for the peach color. I'm just going to use this Morphe Ariel brush for this one. And I'm gonna kind of tap over my cheeks with a barely damp sponge just to get rid of any excess product, because I wanna use the peach, but I don't wanna look too blushy. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of that on this brush. Nice, yeah, that one's definitely got some more glow to it. I feel like honestly with that color, you really don't need the highlighter because that one has that luminous finish to it, much more so than the mauve color. They're still pretty pigmented, and these are obviously the light colors, so they definitely have some pigment to them. I'm gonna take my foundation brush, or the 109 that we used for the second part of the application of the foundation, and just kind of tap over them. I don't mind blush, but I don't want to go like too crazy with it. I definitely prefer the mauve-y one, but I love tones like that. The peach is pretty. It definitely has more luminosity though. Okay, I feel like I really don't need the highlighter, but how do I not use the highlighter? All right, I'm gonna use the other side of the Mario brush. I'm gonna use a fluffier brush in hopes that maybe it won't be super blinding, but I mean, I can already kind of tell by looking at it, it has a lot of glow to it. Yeah, so if you want a subtle highlighter, definitely tap your brush off significantly with this one, because this one is not a subtle highlighter at all. It's pretty, but definitely not subtle. Yeah, a lot of glow there, a lot of glow there. So keep that in mind if you're not a fan of that. All right, let's use the finishing powders in here. So these are definitely not setting powders. If you've never used the Hourglass finishing powders before, so these two right here, I would not recommend using them to set concealer or set your face. They're meant to go on top after you've already done that. So I think I'm gonna do Divine Light, which is this one. It's not quite as bright as this one. And I'm gonna use the Mario F3 brush. I'm gonna use this like bigger, fluffier side. And I'm just gonna kind of sweep this here. And it just gives this beautiful, like, blurred kind of, I hesitate to say radiant because it's not really radiant. It gives just like a beautiful natural skin sheen without being glittery. But definitely don't apply this with the intention of setting your makeup. They're not really meant for that. It's very hard to describe the finish on those. I'm gonna take the smaller end now, and I'm gonna go into just a little bit of that lighter one, which is Dream Light, I believe. Yeah, so not much at all. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of that right here in this inner corner, just to try it. I do like those colors. I definitely prefer the first one that's not like quite as bright, so this one up here, but those are really pretty. All right, I don't have new brow products or anything, so I'm gonna do that quickly and then I'll be back. And we're gonna try the new Lisa Eldridge eye products. So I'll be right back. All right, let's move into the eyes. So I did order the new Lisa Eldridge palette in Fawn. I am also very late on this. I actually got mine a few weeks ago, but one of my shades was broken, unfortunately, when I got it. So I contacted them and they sent me a replacement for the shade that was broken. And I just got that yesterday. But this is just a beautiful neutral color story, which got me because I feel like this was definitely missing from her color stories. So this is Fawn, and it's Absolutely beautiful. So I want to use some of this, but I also ordered 2 of her liquid silk eyeshadows. So I got the shade Irene and the shade Phoebe. So I thought maybe we'll use one of these as like a base, and then we can go over the top with the palette. But we'll see how that goes, because I think these liquid shadows are supposed to be pretty pigmented, and sometimes you have to kind of be careful if you use something with a lot of pigment underneath shadows. It makes shadows look pretty intense on the eyes. But okay, I picked these 2. I kind of had trouble picking. They all looked really pretty, honestly, but I tried to go for the 2 I thought I would use the most. Irene is more of like a pinky beigey color, and then Phoebe is more of a warm kind of caramel brown. But they look very pigmented and they feel extremely fluid. Like the formula is very liquidy. So you can see they blend pretty easily, but it does look like it's pretty pigmented with not a lot of product. So I think I'm definitely going to want to kind of build these up. But that is Irene and that is Phoebe. All right, I think I'm going to start with Irene, which is the more pinky kind of beigey one, and just see what I think of this. So I'm just gonna start with that because I don't want to do too much. I'm gonna blend with the MAC 217. Okay, yeah, do you see how much pigment I got from that with that amount of product? Okay, I love that shade though. That is nice. This is one of my favorite brushes for applying liquid or cream shadows. This MAC 217 is really good for that. I also like the 206 from BK Beauty. So yes, definitely very pigmented, because that literally spread like all over my eye, but what a pretty shade. She also did a really great like launch video for these that I will try to remember to link in the description box, because she applies every shade and she explains the formula and just anything you would want to know about these shadows. She kind of explains it in the launch video, so I'll try to remember to link it. But wow, blendability is 10 out of 10. I remember seeing in her launch video that these are meant to look extremely smooth on the lids, no matter your age or skin type or anything like that. And I could definitely see, like, do you see how incredibly smooth those look on my eyes? And they blended instantly. That's a very, very nice formula. I don't feel like I really need any Phoebe, especially if I'm gonna layer this over the top. I don't want to do too much, you know, because then you won't really be able to see. So we probably won't use Phoebe, but I'll use it, of course, in another video. But wow, what a great formula. Let's move into this palette. So this is the Fawn palette. I will insert some swatches here for you just so we don't waste a ton of time doing that. But let's use the palette. I'm first gonna go into this light brown shade, which is Upper West Side. And let's see, I'm gonna use this Rephr 15 brush for this. And I am going to keep my eye open and apply this as a crease color. That's nice. I love the undertone of this shade. It's very, very neutral, which is kind of hard to find for like a brown. Typically they lean pretty cool or warm. This one I would say leans pretty neutral. That's a really, really, really nice kind of lighter brown. It looks beautiful over that Irene shade. Obviously that's gonna kind of change the tone of that color just because we have that pinky shade underneath. So this would look a little bit different if I just went in on like a blank lid, but it does look really pretty over that color. Let's go into this brown here, which is Supernaturally. It's the brown that's a little bit darker, and I'm gonna use a Rephr 14. And I'm just gonna place this in this very outer corner here, just with the very tip of the brush. This brush is super fluffy, so you can really just kind of lightly apply a deeper shade with it. Did any of you pick up this palette? I have a feeling some of you did. Let me know if you did. I was definitely right away ordering this one because the color story just really got me. And let me know if you ordered the liquid shadows too, or any of them. And then, as I always do, I'm going to take the first blending brush that we used and just very, very lightly kind of feather over everything. All right, now I'm going to take a little bit of Dorian, which is this kind of darker, cooler toned brown, I would say. So this shade right here. And I'm going to use a small 204 brush from BK Beauty with this. And really tapping off the brush because I don't want to get too much. And I'm just going to kind of keep my eye open and just kind of roughly apply this on the lash line, like the outer half, basically. This might not be the best brush to do this with. I don't want it to be super deep and intense. I'm just kind of feathering over it a little bit. It might have worked better with burnt clove, honestly, for this step, but oh well. I'm such a sucker now for these small little palettes I've kind of talked about in videos. I'm just so into little mini palettes. That's what I want to use. That shade is more of a, let me see, what formula is that actually? It says it's the Luster formula. So it's not one of the mattes. It has a little bit of a sheen to it, kind of similar to like a metallic type shade, but she doesn't call it metallic. Has a little bit of a sheen for sure. I really want to use white tie. We also have the pinky shade here with the gold in it, which that would probably go. I really want to use white tie though. Maybe we'll use a little bit of Debutante with my finger just to see. So this is Debutante. This is the one that looks pink, but it kind of depends on how you look at it. Oh, that shade is pretty actually. It really changes depending on like the way you look at it, which is really beautiful. So I'm just tapping that kind of in the center with my finger. Oh yeah, that shade is beautiful. And then I guess we'll take a little bit of white tie as well, which is the brighter kind of like white topper. And I'm just gonna kind of concentrate a little bit of that like right in the center. I love that she named the shades in this palette after New York City. She, in her launch video, kind of explains her thinking behind this palette and why she named it the way that she did, but it's named after New York City, which I love. The only shade we didn't really use is Burnt Clove, which is this kind of grayish matte up here. So just to use a little bit of it, I'm going to use this tiny little Refer 29 brush. It's just like a small straight across shadow brush. I'm going to take a little bit of that shade on that brush and I'm just going to kind of stamp it into the lashes, like as close as I can get. I'm not going to really wing it out a ton, I don't think, because we've already got a little bit of like a wing shape. But this is a deeper shade, so it's nice to use something like this to kind of intensify the lashes a little bit. I will also say that when I got my palette and one of the shades was kind of messed up, I was able to contact their customer service on the website. And I did like the little chat thing. And I just kind of showed them what it looked like. My shadow wasn't totally destroyed, but kind of hard to explain, but it kind of separated a little bit from the pan and it looked a little crumbly around the edges. But as soon as I showed them in the chat, they were like, no problem at all. We'll send you, a replacement, because there was nothing wrong with the other 5 shades, but their customer service was great. All right, and then gonna take a little bit of Upper West Side again, and I'm gonna use the Rephr 03 brush with this, and I'm gonna apply this on the lower lash line. All right, then I'll take just a little bit of this middle shade, which was Supernaturally, and I'm taking just a little bit of Supernaturally just on this outer corner, and just trying to connect it up again to the shadow on the top. Her shadow formula is just so effortless. If you've used it, I'm sure you know what I mean. It's just such a luxurious, no fuss, no extreme effort required kind of formula. It's very, very nice. All right, I'm gonna stop there with the eyes because I don't think I need anything else. It's actually more than I was planning to do on the eyes, but I could not use the shades in here, so I'm gonna apply some mascara. I'm curling my lashes first. And I am actually gonna apply the Lisa Eldridge Kitten Lash Mascara. This is not new, but I have been absolutely loving this the past few weeks. Last, for the lips, I do have one of the new Makeup Forever Artist Extreme pencils. This one is in the shade Anywhere Caffeine, which I love this shade from Makeup Forever. So it looks like that right there. So these are supposed to be like waterproof, budge proof. I also have a new shade of the Makeup by Mario lip liners because I'm obsessed with them. And I'm not sure if this color would really go with what we have, but this is the shade Rich Mauve, and I've seen him recently use this shade a few times on different people, but this shade is really pretty. It's obviously a mauve, but I really like it. So that is Rich Mauve, and that is Anywhere Caffeine. I guess we'll go for Anywhere Caffeine first and see what we think. Definitely creamier feeling than the original ones, the artist pencils. I've been lining my lips a little bit differently because I saw Mario in the masterclass. He lined from the Cupid's bow down instead of like the corner up. I've always done the corner up, but I've been kind of playing around with not doing that, and I kind of like it. Okay, that shade is just so good. So good. Okay, now I do have this gloss from Armani. This is the Prisma Glass Gloss in the shade Nude Glow, which is just a really pretty nude, but it has like some pink shimmer in it, which honestly might be kind of pretty with the eyes. I have not tried this formula before. Let's try it. Ooh, that's kind of pretty actually. This formula kind of feels like a lip mask and a lip oil and a lip gloss. It's very smoothing kind of feeling on the lips. I kind of like it actually with that lip liner. I wasn't really sure about it, but has a really fine pink shimmer in it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but that is pretty. All right, and then I'm gonna set with this setting spray. I've been playing around with this and I really like this one so far. This is Sephora Makeup Setting Spray, 16-hour transfer proof setting spray. And so far, I really like this. All right, so that is everything that we're gonna try today. Let's go through the products quickly. The Milk Primer, I'm gonna test this again, but probably not in a video until I figure out what the deal is with this, because I'm tired of using it and then having to take it off. But this is, I don't know, it's making weird things happen with foundation. So I'm assuming it's the silicone in the water, but I don't know. I'll have to look into that more and let you know. The Dior foundation stick. Okay, I think this foundation is beautiful so far. One thing I do want to point out is I just looked it up on Sephora. It says it's a natural finish, and it says it's a heat and humidity resistant formula that has a blurring filter effect. I don't think I would say this has a blurring effect on my skin, at least. I don't have super large pores or acne prone skin, so that's not something I typically struggle with, but I will say I don't find it blurring at all. I think it leans more of like a natural radiant finish. I'm not seeing the blurring quality, but it is beautiful on the skin in my opinion, and it's very creamy, very hydrating, very emollient, easy to blend. I like it. The coverage is pretty nice. It's buildable. It's not a full coverage, so if that's what you're looking for, this is not a full coverage stick foundation to me. Now it is buildable, like you saw, I kind of built it up here earlier, but I definitely wouldn't say it's full coverage. I would say it's like a full medium coverage at the most, but I do think it looks nice. I don't know if you have oily skin, if you would love this. Now I want to see how it wears obviously throughout the day. We did powder it today with the Mario powder, but just based on the finish alone, I don't know if you have extremely oily skin, if this would work. I think it might be a little bit too creamy and emollient, but that's just kind of my first impression of it. But it does look beautiful on the skin. It doesn't look heavy. I think it's really nice so far. I will wear it and keep wearing it and let you know, but my first impression is that is a very nice foundation. I kind of talked about the concealers, the Westman concealer. I'm really loving this one right now. It still looks great under my eyes in my opinion. It wears beautifully on me. I do like to set this one with a little bit of powder, and I do think it's similar to Natasha Denona. So if you hate that one, you might not love this one, although I do find this to be just a little bit more hydrating than the Natasha Denona. The Mario powder I'm loving, but that's not really a first impression. I've been testing that. The Hourglass palette. Okay, let's talk about this. As I said, every single year, if you've been watching my videos, you know, I say I'm not gonna get this, and then I get it every single time. Do I think you need this? No, I don't. I did not need this. Do I think it's beautiful? Yes. Do I think the Hourglass powders are beautiful? Yes. Do I think this is like a must-have though? No. If you have a lot of bronzers and blushes in your collection that you love, do I think you need this? No. You know, I have a YouTube channel, so that's my excuse for trying a lot of things, and definitely my excuse for trying this once again this year. But you know, keep that in mind. If you have a lot of those things, you don't need this. You don't. It's beautiful, but I will say I'm not like blown away by it. I think it's really nice. The thing I like the most is probably this hazy or the mauve haze blush down here. I love this color. I think it's really unique. And I like it. I will continue to use it, but do I think it's like a must-have? No. So keep that in mind. If you don't think you would use something like this and you have a lot of things, you don't need it. They're expensive too. Let's see, what else did we use? I guess just the Lisa Eldridge products. Liquid shadows, 10 out of 10. I have no notes on these. We didn't apply Phoebe, but I'm assuming it's gonna do the exact same thing that Irene did. This is like, I would venture to bet if you applied a little bit of this on your eye and you closed your eye and used a brush to blend it, I think you could blend this with your eyes closed. That's how creamy and easy it was. I mean, it was like boom, boom, done. So if you're a big fan of liquid shadows, these are really nice. Not disappointed at all. I'm glad I picked these two shades because they're different tones. So I get a little bit of both, a little bit of a cooler tone and a warmer tone, but I mean, it looks smooth on my eye. It blended in just so incredibly easy. These are really nice, really, really nice. And the Lisa Eldridge Fawn palette. If you like neutrals and you love her formula, you will love this. This is, you know what I like about this too is it doesn't lean incredibly warm and it doesn't lean incredibly cool. I would say this kind of falls right in between. You get a little bit of a warm, like with this shimmer here, Debutante, that one leans a little bit warmer on the eyes. This brown Upper West Side is pretty neutral. You get two deeper shades and then this kind of medium toned brown and a topper. So, you know, I'm not surprised by the quality. I knew when I tried the Vega palette a few months ago, the formula is just so incredibly buttery and easy. It's just easy. It's a very luxurious experience to use these. So I'm happy with this, very happy with it. And then let's see. Oh, just the lip combo. This lip liner, I need to see how it wears, obviously, but it's definitely creamier than the artist pencils, which I do really like. I'm very curious to see how long this lasts though, because the one thing with the artist pencils from Makeup Forever is they're great. They come in great shades, but they aren't the most long-lasting formula. So I can't wait to see how this wears. And I will try to remember to put an update in the description box. If you want to see, go check and it should be there. And then the Prisma Gloss from Armani. This is not really what I expected. It's very glossy and it kind of feels like a lip mask almost on the lips. It's really, really nice. And this color in Nude Glow is beautiful. And it goes really well with that debutante shade on the eyes. But is anything revolutionary that I've never seen before? No. But is it nice? Yes. I think that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I think we definitely found some more great makeup. I feel like makeup launches lately have been kind of on fire. Like very, very good products are coming out right now. And it's, you know, it's so much fun to test them out. So I hope this was enjoyable or helpful for you. I will put my comments in the description box, so make sure you check that out. And I really enjoyed this. Thank you for hanging in there with me. It's just been a crazy month between being out of town, getting COVID, then the hurricane. It's just been a lot going on. So thank you for hanging in there with me. I'm trying my best to get back to normal and get back to regular 3 times a week uploads. So stay tuned, but thank you for being patient with me. And if you're in my membership, that content has also been put on hold, but moving forward, we should be good to go. I'm having my first members only live this weekend. So maybe the day after this video goes up, Saturday the 5th at 5 p.m. So if you're a member, make sure to tune in for that if you can. If you want to join the membership, the link is in the very top of the description box. And I will link all the products as always in the description as well and in YouTube shopping for you. If you do shop through my links, I do make a commission and it just supports this channel. So thank you so much if you do that. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you. Bye.